My name is Nathen Burch, producer, director, writer, editor, I guess, and I own Burch Productions in Arizona.
And your latest short film, Example, and your feature, Mercy, we'll have linked in the description below for anyone who wants to watch.
Oh, perfect.
All right. Nice to talk to you, man.
Yeah, I was telling him I enjoyed the film, and I've always liked that type of like just the way it's set up. I can't do that. Like the the way you guys filmed it, it's just way different than what I'm used to of like for my directing side of stuff. So I loved it. I love that type of stuff, and yeah, it was good.
Well, that actually brings up an interesting question. Why? What is your directing style? Because I know, coming off of Example, one shot, or you made it seem like it was one shot. Is that your preferred style?
Um, I think I haven't really found my style yet, I would say, but if I had to like hone it in, yeah, I would say so because like we're actually working on a new project right now that we're in writing for, and it's going to be like a sci-fi action, very light sci-fi. I mean, I guess the whole story kind of revolves around the sci-fi, but it's not important, not like like Marvel style sci-fi. But it's basically like time travel, teleportation, but it's actiony, and the action scenes I like long drawn out camera movements like the Daredevil style and stuff like that.
Yes,
Um,
indeed.
Okay.
yeah, and it's so when I can shoot, I let the actors and the story tell itself. I don't think cameras are great at telling stories, but um, I like to keep it really basic and let everything else kind of unravel in front of everybody. And if I can do cool shots, like we had like the mirror set up so you could see
Mm.
the different people, and we shot it the best we could. I had some cool ideas in mind, but we had some camera technical difficulties at one point where the rig kept breaking down on us and turning off because it was too heavy
Oh,
for the shots.
what rig? Yeah, what did you use to shoot that film?
We used Blackmagic 4K
Really?
with yeah,
That's
yeah,
so cool.
yeah. It was fun. We had two we had we had two Blackmagic 4Ks and a 6K on set that we were messing around with. And we ended up going with the 4K because of the weight, and then
Mm.
the we were using a Ronin, and then yeah, so it was all handheld, and then I props to props to the guy holding the camera. It was not light, and he was sweating, and he was his I can only imagine. It was he even commented, I'm like, yeah, his name is Wesley. He did a great job though. Yeah, so it was definitely a challenge. I saw everything in my head before we shot. Like I knew exactly
Mm.
how we were going to line up the
I know
shots,
exactly what you mean. Yeah.
right? Yeah, and it's like I know, and so everybody. It's funny because like I think I'm articulating it very clearly, but they don't realize it until it was like done. Like, oh, okay, like, that's how you do
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
That's funny you mentioned that. Because I did the same thing on Who Are You, where and I didn't even realize I was doing it. I kind of felt bad after the fact because I like you said, I saw it in my head like exactly how I wanted it, and
Yeah.
there are a couple scenes that they're escaping me now, but I remember telling Nick to do something, and he would do it, but I don't think. And Nick, you can, if you remember specifically, go ahead and jump in. But I remember after the fact, he had told me like, yeah, I had no idea what was happening here, or that was a really tough day of shooting for me.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
just a little bit, but it was yeah, like filming those scenes, and I'll admit, like I remember that experience, but even I don't remember like which specific scenes there were. But there was a couple of times where it was like okay, I'm trying, and I'm not like totally getting it, so obviously we would have to like refilm it a couple of times, but also, it was just one of those things where, you know, you're, at least the way I look at it, like you're part of a team, so the you gotta like trust the director's vision as well, because even though like you the actor might not necessarily understand what's going on, like the director has the vision, so that made it easier for me to work with them and do everything. So, and you know, if I, you know, if I do say so myself, the finished product was pretty good. So it's like, you know, that's where that trust and that faith comes in, which I think is important to filmmaking and everything. So yeah.
And actually, going back to your setup for a second, this is a more technical question because I noticed you also edited your short film as well.
I did, yes.
Yeah, and there was a couple parts specifically I remember in the middle scene where I think his name was Eric, where you're talking to Eric. Is that the right name?
Yeah, the first, yeah, when there's like the first room. Yeah,
Yes, yes,
with
yes.
yeah, Eric. Yeah.
I noticed some warp stabilizing in that scene,
Yes.
and
Yes.
and I was actually curious to because I can understand if you want, you know, the steady cam. I mean, you had the gimbal, so I understand that's what you wanted to go for. But I don't know. I feel like there's also something like kind of raw about that kind of handheld vibe, you know.
Yeah.
So was that just not your vision?
No, so I like the handheld vibe, but the problem with a lot of it was a really heavy rig. So the warp stabilization, what there were some portions where it was noticeably moving quite a bit, and it was taking away from it. Um, so I had to warp stabilize it in a couple of spots. Like the walking from room to room, I didn't do. I don't think, if I'm not mistaken. And
Mhm.
then I think it was really just in that room that was really needed. I might have done it in. I don't know. Yeah, that's great. I did. I use it, but you definitely notice it. And the biggest reason for that was so we shot kind of in order. I was okay with shooting
Mm.
out of order because I knew what I was doing, but we still shot it in order. So at this point, we started at everybody got there at 8 a.m. and we started filming. I want to say at like 11.
Mhm.
And by the time we got to that room, I think it was like 2 or 3 o'clock. So the cameraman was holding Wesley was holding that camera that entire time for the most part, and that's the last take. Every single one that we did that you
Mhm.
see on there is the last take. Um,
Yeah, I
Wow.
feel that. I know exactly what that's like.
so he was, he's like dying there, and even I wasn't even like when it dips behind the chair. It
Mhm.
wasn't quite what I envisioned. I didn't mean it. I didn't want it to dip as fast as it did. I just wanted it
Mm.
to pan past, but the rig is just so heavy to where when he was trying to move, he had to like go quick because it was either would tip or it would, it was just hard to maneuver that way. Um,
Gotcha.
but because we had camera, we had batteries, we had so behind the mirror, we had a guy pulling focus behind that mirror. So he's in the shot
Really?
technically,
Oh.
but he's behind that mirror because the space was so small. So yeah, he's sitting literally behind that mirror in the chair that's holding up the mirror, and he's pulling focus. So we had
Whoa.
yeah. So there's a lot of technical stuff that was going on.
Y-
It wasn't just like a 1-2. Like hopefully we're good. It was yeah.
I'm a little jealous. You had a wireless follow focus?
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
Oh my God,
yeah.
I
So
want one of those so bad. Oh,
it
it's
was
just way out of my budget.
yeah. Well, and I did. I luckily so I reached out to everybody. It wasn't just like a like because I have very basic equipment, and I realize there's really talented people out there who want to make stuff that have their own equipment. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just get rid of my stuff because then it stops me from
Mm.
trying to use it. And when I know I can go with other people, and it's my little way of trying to get rid of some of my controlling problems that I have. And because normally I like to hold the camera and film and all that, but I was like, nah, let's go with that, you know. So I got, I think actually, there was three people who brought cameras, three separate people. So yeah, we had three Blackmagic cameras, and they were all. We only used one, but we, you know, if we were going to go in a different direction, we could have used all three of them just for different angles and stuff. And yeah, so it was. They brought the follow focus. We had lights. I found them all on, I think, through Facebook, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was all, yeah, just Facebook. Um, and I think that's it. Yeah. So, and I think the casting call that I posted was on Facebook. I just kept it really simple. So,
Oh, really? Okay. It
yeah.
never occurred to me to use Facebook like that.
Yeah. So
Or at all, really.
Facebook, yeah, that's actually the only reason why I have Facebook.
Wow,
Is,
okay.
yeah, Facebook. Um, there's groups. There's Arizona like casting calls and Arizona like production something like but yeah, there's a couple of like three or four groups that I'm in. There's probably more of them, but there's three or four
Oh,
groups that I'm in
damn.
specifically for, yeah, just for this. And I look at casting calls and I reach out to people. That's how my feature film, that's Mercy. Well, the one that I directed, it was written by James Yaw. Um, we did all of that basically through Facebook groups. Like we cast everybody. There was a full feature length. It was, yeah. So that was all done through Facebook.
Where can is this film, this feature length film out?
Yeah, yeah. So the feature one we did, I think we shot it in 20. It was during COVID,
Oh,
2020, I want to say, and then it actually aired. It's on Amazon. You can watch it, and
that's
Tubi.
cool.
Yeah, so you
I
can.
love Tubi.
On Tubi?
Yeah,
Okay.
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
Tubi,
I know what we're doing
Amazon.
tonight.
It was written by James. It's kind of a true story. It's a little dark, but I mean that's a great example of. I do a lot of handheld shots in there too, I
Mm.
believe. But we do that one. I actually just used a. I bought a really simple. It was a Canon M50, so a mirrorless Canon.
M50. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
nothing crazy. I just wanted to take. Yeah, it was all just. I basically did Mercy to try to work out the kinks. Like I was writing my own feature, and James was like, "Oh, you inspired me," and I say that, and that's probably not what happened, but he started writing his script, and then once he wrote his script, I was like, "Dude, if you write it," he wrote a short, and I'm such a, I'm so. I don't know. So I told him he wrote a short, and he's like, "Yeah, what do you think of this?" And I was like, "Let me ask you this: um, how how many shorts have you watched in your life, and how many shorts like, do you want people to? I think that's the thing I said was, "Do you want people to watch this?" He goes, and he's like, "Yeah, that's the goal." And so maybe we should make it about 40 minutes longer, and
Mm.
make it, and because that was the thought process to me, because I'm like, how many shorts have I seen? How many shorts have do a lot of people actually watch? And I mean, and when I made this movie example, that was exactly what happened. Is I made I made example, and I literally just made it for the festival circuit, and I love it. I mean, it's a great short in my opinion, but it was every single person who I knew who watched it goes, "Is this it? Where's the rest of it? Where's like what's that's
Really?
gotta yeah." So, and I don't know if it's just because they know I've done longer stuff in the past, or if it's just like a lot of them are like, "Oh, I want to know more. I want to know what happens. Like, is this just like
Hmm.
is more coming out, or what's gonna happen?" And I was like, "No, this is it." Oh, okay.
No,
So
I gotta say I kind of relate to those people because the way you did this film, it was really good, and like when it ended I was like, I need more, like I need a solid like 2.5 hour cut of this movie or something, because
I
yeah,
yeah.
like the way you left it was like, yeah, this is, it was enticing, I guess, for lack of a better term. Like I wanted to see more of this man's relationship, like with his family, especially where the film picks up, and like see a little bit more like what's going on in his mind, a little bit more of this business that he's a part of, and like definitely what happened after it ended. So yeah, I was also wanting a little bit more too. It was really really good.
Thank you. Yeah, that's. I mean, I didn't know I was for something. I mean, that's really the first thing I've ever actually written myself and got
Oh,
it put out. Yeah, so it's not. I have written other things, but I haven't actually like made them. Um,
gotcha. Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, that's really the first thing because I used to do music videos and I do a lot of those. I still do mainly music videos, but um, I wanted to I've always loved film side of stuff and making all that. So yeah, it was just I was like, all right, well let's do it. I know I'm not because I'm not a great writer. Like I know that like that's not my strong suit. And it's like the dialogue and stuff like that. Like I come up with really interesting things in my opinion. Again, this is all. I mean, I'm really not. I'm very, I would say, humble most of the time. But after making this, I'm a little, I'm a little high on life. I'm like, all right, great, this is good.
Mm,
It went as
mm-hmm.
exactly as expected, a little bit better, and it led me to going forward and doing more stuff now. So, yeah, I don't think in terms of like uh, writing, I'm that great, but I came up with it after like the school shootings in May.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, I came up with it May 26th, I think, roughly in that time period, and then wrote it like a week later, and then we started casting and prepping the film, and uh, we shot it July 30th. So it was like 2 months from the time I wrote it to the time we started filming it, and then it came out on the 26th of August. So 3 months roughly is what it took to knock it all
Wow.
out. Yeah.
Wow. That actually, I had a question earlier. It, it kind of sounded like you were alluding that the shoot only took one day.
Yeah. Yeah. It was all done one day.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Jeez, Louise.
That's insane. That is insane to me. Because earlier I was telling Nick like it flowed like it was all it was
Yeah.
one shot obviously. But it also flowed like it was literally all happening the same day.
Yeah.
But I thought that was just movie magic. So I'm a little surprised honestly.
Yeah, I really this took actually longer to film than I expected. I was it so even though it was only a day, I am very time conscious because I mean one of the things that I feel working in this side of stuff in Arizona is a lot of directors. There's two things that I dislike is a lot of directors or producers or whatever you want to call them. A lot of the people out here is they don't know how to follow through with what they're doing, and they get a lot of hopes up, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and then they just don't. It could be
Hmm.
the dumbest little thing that sets them off. And then they're just like, oh well, I gotta go pick up my kids from school. I'm like, we shot Mercy, and I was driving literally. I lived in Tucson, and we shot in Phoenix. I was literally driving out here every
Oh.
weekend, 2 hours this way on Friday night and 2 hours back Sunday night. And we were shooting. When I shot that feature, I'm like, there's zero chance that anybody is ever going to tell me. I did that for like 9 months straight. I'm like, there's zero
Mm.
chance anybody's going to tell me that there's no excuses in my book. So there's that, or not only lack of commitment, but like time management is the big thing that
Hmm.
that a lot of people can't do, in my opinion, and that really causes havoc on everybody. And this, I plan to be out at about, I think I said four. I think I said 3 or 4. We got there, I think 8 or 9. I
Hmm.
think 8, and then we were supposed to be out by 4 p.m. I think we ended up getting out at around 7, 7 or 8. And that the biggest reason behind that though, and so I still pat myself on the back, is we didn't start shooting until I think like 11:30, and I was planning on starting shooting at 9. And then
Okay.
while we were shooting, and you can kind of hear it actually when you watch, um, right when the kids walk off screen, um, the camera beeps, the gimbal beeps because it wasn't we could not get it calibrated with how much weight and stuff on it, so we really had to we spent
Mm.
hours trying to get that fixed up. Um, not a big deal. It was just something that they weren't expecting. The guys who I was working with, like it just they haven't done a shoot like this before, And
Hmm.
so it was just they did really good job. Props to all of them for working together and getting it handled and stuff. And so I was just glad we finished it in a day. But yeah, so only four, five, six, seven. I think like maybe like 4 hours longer than expected. But yeah, all in one day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is insane to me. I don't know if Nick told you, but it took us 6 months to make our short film.
Oh man, no, he did
So
not say
Yeah.
that.
that is completely a different ball game.
That's
But
no, but that's I mean that's the art though, right? Like when you sometimes
exactly, yeah.
it takes like Mercy the and again that was a uh, little different with being a feature length, but like that was roughly 9 months I want to say from start to finish. I think we shot for 3 or 4 months, and it was like every weekend for 3 or 4 months.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean anything from shorts. I'm really stubborn, and I'm just like if it was if it's a one location and like I know what I want, I do like stuff to be lit. Like obviously, like I think that's important. I think sound's important and stuff. And I'm willing now for my next film. I'm gonna spend more time working on those and calibrating my time schedule for worrying about those things.
Hmm.
But with this one specifically, it was more of like, all right, cool. It's supposed to look kind of gritty and like, it's not supposed to look fancy. And I was even like,
Yeah, imperfect.
yeah, exactly. And then in the room, like in the last room, I was so I was like, I don't even care what like I don't even care these lights show. Like these guys are gonna be showing like this guy getting like tortured. Like let's just keep the
Hmm.
lights in view. I don't care. And like no, we gotta have these lights out. They were really good at lighting the scene. They're like no, we gotta have this light up here and this over here. And I was like, all right, I guess. So but it was just like, and you can see in the background. So we filmed that actually at my uncle's house, and
Mm.
Oh,
in
okay.
that room, the garage with the kids tied up,
Right.
the back wall. If you pay attention and you look, we actually have because we shoot music videos there a lot. The back wall is green screened, and we covered it up with just like black tablecloths that I just like tacked into the wall. So if you actually look, you can see that there is a green screen wall back there, but like nobody noticed it. I don't think. I mean,
Okay.
I see it
I
every
think
time.
I think I noticed an iMac in the
Oh
background.
yeah. The IMAX totally though. Yeah, that's on purpose though. We
Yeah.
left that one there. Yeah,
Oh,
not even.
okay.
But yeah, that was just. But you can totally. It's. I with that I was like, it doesn't. This is a dude's house. Like, what is it? What do we have to like? We're not. We don't need to fake anything. Like,
Okay.
let's just make it happen.
I get that. I get that mentality. I don't know if you mentioned this, you may have. Your next project, is that going to be a short or is that also feature length?
Oh man, I got big plans for my next project. Um, so I'm talking it up. Like I've changed it like three different times now, but I'm pretty sure I've settled on this. It's definitely a feature, hands down.
Mm.
So I actually, Nick, I kind of talked to you a little bit about doing a psychological thriller when we were at Arizona Studios, and
That's right.
I was what we had planned. So I turned 30 May of next year, and
Mm.
I know I'm old, guys. I get it.
I
So,
didn't want to say nothing.
so my goal is was to do a psychological thriller, and it was going to be about 40 to 50 minutes roughly, and then um, that's all done in one room. Like that was like
Oh.
it was a like kind of like Buried with Ryan Reynolds.
Hmm.
It was kind of not that, but it was similar in the sense of it's just one room. And then I was going to
Hmm.
do four shorts that kind of tie into the film loosely to kind of answer questions about the film that you can't get from inside the room, essentially. And I was going to
Oh.
do like January was launch one, February another one, March another one, and it was going to be like an action, a drama, a horror, a comedy, and then my feature film, which was a psychological thriller that would come out in May. And I was like, oh, this would
That's a
be really cool.
lot.
Yeah, it was super big undertaking, and so I really wish we went that route, but I switched it up last minute to something that would be easier for people to understand, I guess, because I make a lot. I feel like the content that I like to create is um, thought provoking, and it takes a little bit of effort for people to pay attention. You can't just toss it on in the background; like you actually need to pay attention. Um,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
like people didn't like, for instance, like the example when the kids walk off the screen, like it darkens the room,
Right.
and it's all like basically the kids are dead is like how
Yeah,
it
it's like
plays
a
off.
tonal
Yeah,
shift.
exactly. But some people don't notice that. My grandma
Mm.
didn't notice that, so I was like, I'm like, we talked to you about this, and she's like, oh, that makes sense now. Okay, but so I was like, all right, just based off of the responses I got from this film, people loved it, even if they didn't fully get certain pieces here and there. They loved it, but they had questions, and when I answered them, they were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, no, that makes perfect sense," and like it makes me love it even more. I'm like, "Oh, okay." So, so, um, I decided to switch it up, and we're doing a feature. Me and Tanner, who was the assistant director on this one, on an example, he is a really great writer. Like he writes really in-depth stuff, and I'm talking like hardcore. Like when he writes a script, he has like bibles of content that have
Mm.
like nothing to do with the script, but like everything to do with the characters and the world and all this stuff. And
Yeah.
um, he's a great writer, from what I've seen. And I mean we've only met maybe like 3 months ago, right? We met on the set essentially. So
Wow.
so yeah, so I'm working with him and James, and we're writing this cycle. Well, not a cycle. This one's going to be a cop action. Basically, he's tracking down a murder, a murderer, um, and it does have teleportation and time travel in it. So that will be interesting. It'd be fun, and that's we're going to be shooting that kind of in a lot of different places. Um, that's going to hopefully not take 6 months. I hope it doesn't take that long, because we literally I came up with the idea maybe like a week ago, and I just
Oh.
yeah, and so I know you guys are like, oh, okay.
Hey, you're fast
Yeah,
moving. Damn.
when well, it starts with a shot. So I had this really cool action idea where, and oh, you guys will love this. So it's I came up with this really cool fight scene where it was a loop video that I was going to do for TikTok, and it was guys walk into a bar. They have this device, and he like grabs him and uh, goes to like throw him on the bar, and the device
Mhm.
activates, and they teleport to a whole different location, and they're fighting. And as they're fighting, they keep teleporting to different locations. Um, but
Yeah, that sounds
it's going to
cool.
be dope, and it's all one shot, of course. Since
Oh,
Oh yeah.
damn.
so
Okay.
I made it really complicated for me and my crew. So it's going to be really cool. So I came up with that for TikTok, and I was like, nah, let's use that because
That's
let's
too
do
good for
that. Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah.
So I switched it to the film, and yeah, that's going to be basically one of the ending fight scenes. Essentially, it's gonna be really cool. So we again, this is like a week old, so we're I it started with that. That's the first thought I had in my head. Was like, oh, that'd be cool. This is a teleporting device. What does that do? And like, how do we get a hold of that, or what's the case? And then I came up with the opening shot, and that I won't tell you because it's pretty dope. And then but the opening kind of ties to the end, and it ties to everything. And then we filled in all the middle pieces, and now we just got to actually write it. So we have all the little core details of all everything that's happening, and like the fight, not just the fight scene at the end, but there's other altercations throughout that happen, and we have those all ideas mapped out. Now we just got to actually write them and choreograph them. And we need it done. I told Tanner I need it done by October 1st, so I can cast and get locations situated. And we plan to shoot probably November or December. And then hopefully be done by February, so I can edit myself. As much as I love other people editing, and it'd be a lot easier. I know what I want in my head, and I'd rather just knock it
Mm-hmm.
out myself and get it situated than have somebody else do it. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
so yeah,
Yeah, actually, that kind of ties into one of my questions. You edited example, and you directed, wrote, and starred in it. Uh, do you what do you see yourself as? Like, what is your favorite part, or maybe more desired part of
oh
filmmaking?
man, that's a great. I hate editing, so it's definitely not that. Props. I mean, I didn't go to school for this. I This is something that I've picked up along the way. I started with little YouTube videos here and there, and then I moved to music videos, and I have thankfully, I have the ability to really comprehend a lot of the basics of a lot of stuff. So when I very easily anyway, so
Mhm.
going and editing, I'm like, oh, okay, like 1 + 1 = 2. Like, okay, I could do this. It's just really easy for me to comprehend. Like, oh, all right, I need to make this cut. How do I do it? Well, I can chop here, do this, do that. All right, great. Um, so I don't like editing because that's just a really tedious thing that I think other people should do.
Oh yeah.
My uncle, who's got me into film in the first place, he loves editing. Like that's like he wish he
Oh.
could just do that all the time. And as much as I would love to just hand it over to him, that's where like that my side of like, no, I want it. So I really think I don't know. How did you guys think my acting was?
I thought it was phenomenal.
Really?
Yeah. No.
Oh,
You fell into the part.
thank you. Like that's the first thing I've acted in a very very long time. Like very long time since probably like high school. Um, that that was I actually started getting into film to be an actor because I couldn't cold read. Or I started doing my own film work because I couldn't cold read and I didn't know how to audition very well. And so I went the long way about it
Oh.
and made my own stuff and then just built from the ground up. And so, 10 years later, now I have my first film that I've actually started in, and I'm going to go from there. Yeah. So I, I like directing. I think that's fun. I don't, but I like it all. Realistically, I kind of see it more of like a Seth Rogen ish style, but like in
Mm-hmm.
this, but more or less comedic. I mean, a little bit of everything. Like right now, we're doing drama. I really want to do this action one. We'll see how that goes. I've
Mhm.
lost maybe like 20 pounds since I shot. Maybe 15 pounds since I shot. Example. So I'm down weight. So I'm looking. I'm not looking as much like a dad anymore. So we'll go back to
That's
getting.
really fast.
Dude, I like to move quick. All right. I'm like, yeah.
Are you the lead role in your this next feature?
I haven't cast it yet in my mind.
Ah,
I
yeah.
really kind of want to be the villain, but at the same time, a lot of the action scenes are really cool. So I really want to be a part of the action scenes that I'm thinking of, and I'm like, oh man, that'd be so cool. I could see myself in this. But I was like, but I just don't know who else I would want in those roles. So it'd be like
Mhm.
I'll have to see as we write it out. I picture myself when I write it. I try not to because I don't want to like put. I don't want to put like things. I don't want to over. I don't want to write the character in like a how I think I want myself to be portrayed. I guess in a way. I don't know. It's weird. Like I try to picture somebody else in the role,
Mm-hmm.
or just completely blank out the face until I can write like, oh, this would be cool. What would the character do here? What would this happen? How would this work? But then slowly my own face starts to creep in. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna play this role, um, which is what happened. I actually had I was there was a gentleman. Um, what's his name? So I wasn't gonna. I wrote this role for me. Um, And then a gentleman named Gino Zabala, I believe is his last name, really phenomenal actor. He sent in an audition, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm recasted. So I was gonna have him do it, and then just scheduling conflicts came up, and I was like, oh shoot. I guess I
Yeah.
got to do it now. I hope I don't mess up. As I hope I do as good as he did. And I see parts where I should have done better because again, like we had, I think that one, like the first room with Eric, we had, like I think that was the seventh take, and like I nailed it on like 4, 5, and 6. But the seventh one, I
Mm.
had to work. I had to have my director cap on just before. So there's little things that I'm like, damn it. I was in my own head trying to make sure the shots were right and all this stuff, and it threw a little bit of it off.
Mm.
But so I'm glad you liked it. I guess thank you with the acting side of it all. Thanks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in short, I don't know. I want to kind of do it all, but I also really like acting and directing. I think by far the most. But I'm too stubborn to just do that. So writing, editing, and then I hate sound though. I'll never like. I don't like sound. Yeah,
Really?
I don't, you know how hard it was. So the walking scene from an example, walking from the first or from that Eric's room to the kid, that's all dubbed audio. Um,
I noticed it on my second watch through. There was
you could tell.
when the camera goes behind the chair, and it blacks out for a
Yeah,
second. There is a shift in the
yeah.
audio. And I noticed the shift the first time, but I didn't realize it was ADR'd until this my second watch
So
through.
it's weird because so the first right the words literally right after the chair, like when he's facing him.
Yeah.
I see he all the time. And me when I'm facing him, and I say like if I ever catch you selling drugs again or whatever. Um, that we didn't have audio because the boom mics were outside, because of the walking
Yes.
scene, and we
Yes.
couldn't get them behind me because I had the way the camera angles and stuff were working. They had to be in
Mm-hmm.
front because the camera loops around, and if he looped around and the audio was behind the camera when we started, it would have been in the shot.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have any audio that lined up well with that, so I actually just used the on camera audio for that first, just that
Oh.
little portion right there. And the second we walk out
Uh-huh.
the door, everything is dubbed. It's all there's not a
Mm.
single sound in that scene that is natural or that was shot at the same time. All the wind in the background and stuff. That's all I put in. The trees moving. Yeah, everything. It's all dubbed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know when I was editing Who Are You? I didn't notice it until way too late. When I started boosting the audio and working on the sound, I realized that there was a really high pitched frequency in every audio clip that we got. So, and I realized what it was. I had a battery in my shotgun mic, and I was powering my recorder with their own batteries, and I don't know why it conflicted like that, but when I took the battery out of the shotgun mic and just phantom powered the mic itself from the recorder, the frequency went away. So what we ended up doing was once we had picture lock, me and Nick re-recorded the entire short film, and like it went by pretty fast, like
That
an
was a
hour.
couple of days, I think, total.
Yeah. Well, remember that one day we like just went through the whole thing?
Mm. Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I think there's only one clip in that entire short film that is the original audio.
And it sounded great. And I think that's the route I need to go next time. Is instead of I realize this is like instead of if you have live audio mixed with dubbed audio, you can tell there's a difference. But if you have just all dubbed
Yes.
audio, nobody will ever know because like
That's funny you mentioned that because the short film we did The short film we did, I don't even really want to call it a short film. The video we did before Who Are You? It was this little dark comedy thing, and there was I think two parts. There was at least one part where we had to ADR, we had to dub in the audio because we just couldn't get the mics in the right place, and it is the worst, most noticeable. I cringed so hard. I have a hard time even rewatching that, and it was only a year ago that it wasn't even a whole year ago. It came out like December last year. I can't even really watch it anymore just because it's so technically like not there.
Yeah, no, that's funny because it's like as you go through, like when you go back and you watch it, because even like Mercy, I did 2020, and I really haven't done much since then other than music videos, I haven't done anything since then except for the music videos. And it's I go back and I watch that, and I'm like, why am I watching this? First of all, like, but second of all, it's like, wow, I could have done this here, I could have done that there. Like the audio on this, like, why did I go this route? Like, why, whatever. Like, why does it sound like this? What am I doing? So,
Exactly.
you learn. I mean, you just keep learning, and you're going over stuff, and especially like when you haven't mastered your craft. And I mean, like, and most people I would say don't know how to master their craft. I mean, you can get, even if you put in 10,000 hours, you're still really, really good. But there's always little things you're going to learn. And I constantly am learning. And I love it. It's fascinating, all these little things, and you pick them up. Or at least I do. I pick them up without realizing what I'm picking up. Like this time around on the audio, like I was like, I gotta figure out what I'm doing with this audio. And then and I learned like, okay, cool, this is how I delete noises in the background, this is how I do this is how I do that. So I learned quite a bit, and now I can take it on to my next adventure and pay somebody else to do it, so I don't have to.
That's actually the thing I was gonna bring up too. Like in these small crews, that we work with, because people on actual productions that, Hollywood, whatever, no one is expected to be quote unquote masters of several different things. You hire one guy who's really good at lights, you hire one guy who's really good at audio. So like you come to these smaller productions that maybe aren't as technically there that as these Hollywood ones. It's like it's a lot to ask for when there just isn't as much expertise available.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you have to learn if you're not going to if you don't have those resources available.
There's no other option, and I think that's what causes people to flunk out of this a lot of times. Is
it is a lot. It's a lot to learn.
Yeah, it is. I'm a huge fan of like taking the time to learn stuff if it's necessary for the project and what my goal is. Like I have not even with this, there's stuff that I could have tweaked prior to releasing it. But I was like, I have like an 80% rule. If it hits 80% of what I think is perfection, then it's good enough for the public. It's because I think a lot of artists get stuck in their head of like, oh, I could do this, oh, I could do that, oh, and then they never release it, or they're spending too much time writing, and it's like, why? What are you doing?
Yeah, that actually almost happened with Who Are You in a form, because we released it June 3rd this year, and we started getting some really good feedback, like critical feedback of things that could have been tweaked to become so much better. And I remember I was talking to Nick like pretty soon after it launched, and I was floating the idea of taking it down, refilming it, and like posting a director's cut basically with these new additions. And Nick kind of talked me down from it, and it was kind of like what you're saying. Nothing will ever be perfect, but this is what it is, and let's just learn from it and keep going.
Like take it, like, because people people are rude. So it's like, and they don't mean to be, and they have no intent. Like the thing, like when my mom, I think, I don't know. I have several people. My mom, my grandma, my a couple of my friends, a bunch of people. Like when they saw it, they're like, oh, that's it. Like when you hear that, you're like, yeah, but like, did you like what was there? Like, oh yeah, I loved it. And it's like, okay, well, so maybe lead with that. So it's
Yeah,
not like, and they don't mean it
exactly.
in a rude way, but they just don't understand what like the audio. Like I was tweaking a lot of audio, and I'm a horrible editor and a horrible, well, and compared to like somebody who does it all the time, I'm slow, and it's tough to do a lot of stuff because I'm just not on point with it all. And so when I go through it, um, like audio, for instance, like I'm tweaking that, and then like my uncle walks in and is like, "Are you gonna fix this audio?" And I'm like, "Yeah, can you give me like, can you just chill out? Like, geez, like I get it, or you do it. It's even worse when you do it, and then they're like, "Oh, I mean, the audio could have been better." And they're like, "Yeah, I know, it could have been, but you should have heard it. You should have heard it on the first take, and now listen to it. Like, you would have never known that it wasn't fixed. You would have been like, oh, this is great." Um, but they, they have their ideas and their thoughts of what it should be, and that's not bad. They just don't know how to verbalize it to people. So I use it as a stepping stone for me. I'm like, ah, you're right, and like I try not to take it to heart because they're just telling you what they see, and they don't know how to verbalize it to you. Even if you spent 100 hours working on something, um, they don't see that. They just see the finished product, and yeah, so it's good to take that and be like, oh, okay, next time I need audio, or next time I need to, fix the lighting, or, make tweaks here, or not focus so much on like storytelling. Maybe just actually put more effort in the actual editing side of, or filming side of stuff, or the actual like props and stuff. So, yeah, I think that's I think people or the 80% rule is a solid way for me to just be like, all right, this is close enough to perfect. Let's make it happen. And it's not always 80. I try to get to more, like I had this before I tweaked the audio again. I think it was at like a solid. I thought it was at 80, but I was like, nah, I literally only take like 10 minutes to tweak this. I'm going to do this real quick. And I was like, all right, now we're at 80. Now we're good. So it's a fluctuating number, but yeah, I try to keep that up there. It helps.
Right.
It helps with the self-esteem.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a good system. And I'm going to let Nick get a word in because I have a lot to ask and say, but I've been hogging the mic for a while now.
Chilling, bro.
So Nick, go ahead.
Well, honestly, I guess I'm sorry if I'm like yelling the mic, my bad. But yeah, just to kind of like add on to that, like, yeah, it's tough when you work really hard on a product and then you show it to people, and obviously you're kind of like, oh man, like I hope everyone likes it, or even if you're just expecting everyone to like it. And then there's always, those like one or two people that they just look at the finished product, whether or not they fully understood everything that was going on, and then they kind of seemingly like innately are like, oh, that was whack, or like I just wasn't really feeling that. And then it's like, okay, well, bro, it took me 6 months to make this film, and it was just me and one other person, and then like you talk to them like, oh, I didn't even fully understand it, like I wasn't even looking at it like that. It's kind of like, okay, well, come on, bro.
Yeah.
I think it's tough with shorts as well with that, because people see it as literally something they can do on their phone in 10 minutes. They see a 10-minute short and they're like, all right, what? So they don't look at it as it's a lot of people don't have that creative side of stuff. They don't. There's just people in the world who think that they love watching movies, but they don't have the chops to actually create something because it doesn't come naturally to them.
Yeah, and a lot of times, they don't even know that they can't. That they don't have the ability to. They don't even know what they don't know.
Yeah, because they might like criticize it, and then you ask them like, okay, well, what would you change about it, or what could be improved?
I don't know.
You just like shrug their shoulders or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 100%. Like that's like I see that all the time, and that's why I'm like, all
Oh
right,
yeah.
shut up. But yeah, you see that a lot, and then and it's good. I that's why I try to only pay attention to the people who I really trust, whether they know film or not. Like there's people who I look to them for like, hey, did you like this? If you do like it, what do you think could have been better, or what could have been, and hopefully the person you admire is somebody who one either knows the process or knows how to verbalize and articulate their criticisms. And like my buddy Justin, great guy. He was in the film actually. Justin in the film. We had horrible experience with the casting of Justin. The first one is actually I don't know. I don't think I can say what he's in yet legally. He's in a
Oh,
Disney
what?
show that comes out next year.
Oh,
Oh,
it's like
okay.
an NDA
Yeah,
type
so
thing.
Gotcha.
he allegedly hasn't told me yet either. He's
Allegedly.
so really cool though. Like really proud of him. His Alex, and he was in Mercy, the first feature film I did. But he's in some.
Okay.
I take all the credit. I found him. I nurtured him to the actor he is. And then the second guy we cast like a couple days before got COVID, and I was like, son of a gun. And this is, I literally I find out, he's like, oh, I'm not feeling good. I gotta go get tested and stuff. And I was like, okay, well, just let me know. And literally, I think it's me, Justin, Rachel, his wife, and I think his wife's sister, Mandy, who's the dead wife in the photos in the beginning. We're all
Nice.
at dinner, and it's like 9 o'clock at night, 9:30, and I get a call like, hey, I got COVID. I can't come. I was like, oh, all right. Cool. We'll figure this out. And then Justin's like, I'm like sitting there like twirling, like I'm just figuring things out because I naturally go into like, I kick into like problem solving mode instantly. And Justin's like, hey, I mean, do you want me to do it? And I was like, you are not an actor, but you know what? Let's do it. And so I brought him in, and it worked out. But I love the dude.
We,
He's willing to help. We've been friends since high school. I mean, we've known each other for a very long time. I was best man at his wedding. I was there the day after his daughter was born in the hospital. So like we were really really close. And so he's a great guy, and he's willing to help out like that. And it took a lot of stress off. Instead of me spending 4 or 5 hours sleeping, going past midnight and doing all this stuff. And I had to be up at 4 or 5 in the morning. So already to get everything situated for that day. So having to find a new cast member literally like 6 hours before I had to be awake was not on the top of my list. So he took a lot of stress off of me, and yeah, it was good. So Justin, if you hear this, thanks, buddy. You won't hear this. I know you're not going to hear this, but
but you're really preaching to the choir here. Me and Nick know all too well acting out of necessity.
yeah, he
Oh
was
my
telling
gosh.
me, he's like, I'm a writer, but I had to. He's like, but I acted in this thing. Oh, cool, perfect. You did good.
Yeah, like it seems like the most recent projects Jake and I have worked on. I'm like in my head, I kind of like, okay, bet I'm finally excited to just like write this,
And
maybe
that's
help in
it.
like the editing room or something like that, and like put it out, and like we'll get like some of our friends or like whoever, like even we're doing a project right now, a commercial where I was like, I wrote the script, but I wrote it for someone else to be like the main character, and I'd even like reach out to this person. It was like scheduling conflict, so they weren't able to do it,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But I was just like, okay, well, dang, now I gotta act in this again, and like I'm even telling my girlfriend like, hey, I'm about to be doing like a scene tomorrow, like da 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 da, and she's like, yeah, like I just kind of see you more as an actor anyway.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, are you serious? like thanks, I guess, but I'm like, no, I'm shy. Like I don't like acting. I kind of just want to be like behind the camera, write the script, put the story out, and then just be like done with it.
Yeah.
But
Hey, you got me.
it's
You
that
need
whole
me. Just hit me
necessity
up.
thing.
Like, I will gladly come and act any of your guys' stuff. So
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
I'm,
say less, bro. Appreciate you.
Yes.
Yes,
you know,
indeed.
and if you need, I got some weight, so I got some people we can pull if we ever need more people. Just let me know. No promises, but I usually can squeeze a couple people together pretty quickly if we need it.
Okay,
Oh
yeah, I'm
yeah.
gonna keep that in mind. Both of us
Yeah.
will. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we have so many productions underway and in planning because we actually
Underway and on the way. You feel me? So,
we you mentioned it's really inspiring because you mentioned you've done these feature lengths films before and you're going to do one again. And me and Nick we were brainstorming of our future plans for the next year or so, and that was one of the things that came up to attempt a feature length film. And man, that just seems so daunting. Like just the sheer like
Oh yeah.
scope of it, that it just seems insurmountable.
So take it step by step. Um, there's nothing like having. I think so. I was not only a world class talented actor in high school. I was also on the football team. I did. I and we were pretty pretty talented football team as well. So through my years of playing football, there's one thing that really stuck out, and it was do the little things right. Period. Always the little things. Start with the little things because it does not matter. And a lot of people think this to an extent, but then they go off and they start doing something else. Like you start doing like
yeah.
you're writing the script and like for instance, me and um, like with this new feature film, I'm trying to keep it really simple and dumbed down, and not to say anything to viewers. Like I don't like not in a way that like they're not able to comprehend it, but I don't want them to have to sit there and pay attention to my film. I want them to be able to just put it on, and if they would look away, they're not going to miss anything. I want them to be able to sit back and relax because my goal is to have a big old birthday bash, 30-year-old birthday party, and have like this premiere, like a red carpet premiere. I'm gonna rent out a place and
That's
yeah. So
cool.
that's
That's
the
cool.
That's
goal.
dope. I respect
So
that.
Yeah.
we'll see. That's what I'm going for. And after the movie airs, we'll go out. Like a whole. I was lucky enough when I was probably like 10. I got to go to the ET 20th premiere and hang out with a bunch of like Steven Spielberg and all these bigger named people. I was young, obviously. I was like 10, so I didn't know anything at the time. Like I didn't know how cool it was. I was like, all right, cool. Drew Barrymore, nice to meet you. How's it going? Um, so, but it was so like I want that to be like an event for like anybody to attend type thing. But I really want that movie like it doesn't. I don't know who's gonna show up, so I want this movie to be really simple. So we're writing the script, and again Tanner, great guy. But he's just so in depth. He goes like because we're talking about teleportation and time travel. And he goes, okay, but what kind of time travel? Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. And he goes, but we need to know for writing the story. I'm like, no, we don't. We don't need to know. Like, I know you need to know, and you think we need to know, but we don't need to know. That's the beauty of it. Let's just write it and keep it simple, and we'll go from there. And if we need more in-depth stuff, we'll get there. And he's just because he thinks he's really good at in-depth stuff, and it's great for stuff that I like to do. But this is a little outside my scope of like, being. I say dumbing it down, but it's not that. I don't think it's a nice way to put it. But like simplifying.
Simplifying
Yeah,
it.
we're simplifying the movie and just making a really good mainstream action movie, essentially. Um, and we don't need all that stuff. We don't need a bible of content of like this character was born in 1987 and all this stuff. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So that's yeah. I think I don't remember what we were going at, what I was getting at with this, but I just wanted to say like when it comes to it, like keeping stuff simple,
Take
step
it
by
step by
step. Yeah,
step.
thank
Yeah.
you. Start with the whole. I told them no matter what, we come back to when we're writing it. If we get stuck or if we're starting to go down a spiral of getting crazy, stop. The goal is to literally just make this simple. Does the character, do people understand that, you know, this, they're time traveling? Great. We don't need to go any further. It doesn't matter. And then when you do that, so you know, it flushes the writing along a lot quicker, in my opinion. And then
Mm-hmm.
you don't focus on where we're going next. Because he was talking about, well, we can go film here, we go film here, and I was like, we don't need to. Let's just, we can think about those, but if it doesn't fit in the story, it doesn't fit in the story. Let's write it out first. Once we know, like if I say we're filming, because we're planning on filming in like we're planning on like the dunes, the forest, in snow, up on top of a mountain, and
Damn.
the beach,
Damn.
I believe. So yeah,
Jesus.
and that's just like a 5 minute fight
Road
scene.
trip.
That's just that's just
Oh my
so,
Oh,
god.
geez Louise.
yeah, so that is it's gonna be really exciting. But I was like, I don't care if we have to make a tweak because like we want to go to the beach and we decide no, the beach should be in another scene. Like, okay, that's fine, we'll tweak it. Or maybe we shouldn't film at the beach because of like we don't want the camera to get wet. I don't know, but let's write it out, and then when we get to the production portion and we're actually casting and we're looking for locations and stuff like that, like that part of the pre-production, then if we hit those snags, we'll tweak them there. But we'll just keep rolling. Don't think of the future and run into the problems you're gonna have, because no matter how many problems you try to solve, you're gonna run into more problems. So just start with the
Mm-hmm.
basics, knock them out, and just roll with the punches and get it going. And I think that's my biggest advice for doing a feature film. Um, just know it can get it's not complicated. It's a lot to take on. Like I was like, oh shoot, and there's a lot of steps, and it did take time. Um, but I promise you, you guys will be able to do it. It's just gonna take some time.
Yeah.
I'm with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. To again to kind of like add on to that, I don't know if you guys have read the Will Smith like autobiography, but he talks a little bit about when he was a kid, like his dad made him and his younger brother like build a wall, and they spent and they spent like I think he said like it was either like months, like legit years doing it, and he was just one day like, oh man, like this is too much for me, I can't do this. And his dad was like, you know, don't say you can't, like don't focus on building the wall, just focus on laying the single brick as best you can, and then once you get that done, move on to the next one, and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
and that's really all from the one that I've done. The biggest, like that was it. I mean, it was really just from the pre-production side. I mean, there's a lot of little pieces. Like again, going back to the core of what I always recommend is make sure, just seeing this in the industry, just make sure you you don't get burnt out. Like keep somebody there because you're gonna get burnt out. But realize it's okay. Take a day off. Don't
Yeah.
focus on it. Go hang out with the girlfriend. Go hang out with the kids. Go hang out. Just go do something and don't focus on it and come back to it fresh. Because I got burnt out and I just stepped away and came right back. Because then you get an idea like, oh, this would be cool, and then you come back to it and get reamped. But then keep to a schedule. I think the biggest thing that I did in my mind was I knew I got the first time after I cast everybody, I took I asked them, cool, when can you film? They all sent me like all their dates of when they couldn't film, like the dates they were busy, as well as like the dates that they were best for shooting or the weekends. Like oh, I'm good Saturday, any Saturdays and Sundays, great. Or I'm good only on Wednesdays and Thursdays, great. And I took them all, plotted them out on a thing, and then figured out like I literally had a bunch of sticky notes on my wall of like, cool, this person here, this person here, this person here. These guys are in a scene together. Okay, cool. So this can only be shot this day and potentially this day. Great. So that's what we have to do here. And I just move stuff around as needed, but it's just a big old puzzle. But I kept the scheduling precise specifically for the actors because you don't want to, as a boss, right? Because that's what you are. You don't want to piss them
Right.
off. I mean, you're not going to intentionally try to do it, but I think a lot of directors like they have that mindset of like, well, it's my set. Like, if we have to push, we have to push. If we have to do this, we have to do this. And it's just like, no, this is it's like it's. I think it's everybody's set. Like you have, yeah, you're the one piecing the puzzle together, but without this piece, you don't have a puzzle. I think
Right.
it's just being, well, one, just being a decent human and being respectful, but just keeping that in the forefront of, I think perception is the biggest thing in this side of stuff. And how do you want to be perceived? Even if you are a complete ass, and the biggest jerk of all time, at least don't look like that to everybody else. So and straight like you know what I mean? At least come off, at least be make everybody want to be like, wow, I really like working on this set. I really like. I mean, because in the end, you're not really going to be an ass if that's the case, right? I mean, there's no way somebody can finagle that. I guess if you're really that big of an ass, you're not gonna be able to take and put everybody in first. But yeah, just that's the other big advice I would say. Just take it step by step. Don't get burnt out. You'll be fine. Keep chugging along one brick at a time, like you mentioned, and then just give everybody the respect they deserve and try to plan it out as best as you can. And shoot the best you can on those days, but know you're gonna need like 1 or 2 days for pickup shots.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you fail, if you don't shoot the whole thing that one day, great. Okay. Oh well. Darn, but keep your schedule for that day and then go back and pick it up later. Try not to miss your schedule,
right.
Obviously, but like we had child actors in one of ours, and they were, we had issues and stuff, and we weren't getting quite what we wanted. Nothing with them. It was just, one of them didn't want to act, and one of them tried to figure out. He was like, I don't want to do this, and I was like, okay, go hang out there then. And so like I had to like figure out the shot with just one act because they were in a car talking together, and so like I had to film the driver and the 2 kids in the back, but now there's only 1 kid in the back, so I had to like position the camera where the kid looked like he was talking to the other guy, and the other kid. So it wasn't complicated, but it just added a little bit more effort of like, all right, I got to figure this out, and it takes time, and we have to do shots. So just prepare that you're not going to be prepared and add buffers and stuff, and then. Just bring me on board, guys. I'll just come and do your schedule.
I was gonna say, yeah, when we do end up doing this feature length, you're gonna have to be like credited or thanked in the end credits, because this is good advice.
Well, I'm glad I could be here. Yeah, no, like if you guys have any questions, just reach out, because it's I'm all for helping out everybody. Yeah. I even had the grip on set. He had no experience for this most recent one. And I was like, I don't care. If you want to learn, come on, show up. That's fine. If you want to be there, just don't stand in my way. As long as you're not in my way, then you're good. He was the sound. I think he was the one. I think he was credited for grip and potentially sound. I think he was a sound assistant or something like that, boom assistant, something. But I'm fine with that. I love, like, as long as you're willing to learn, I'm willing to teach 100% of the time. And I'm not saying I'm a good teacher, but by any means, but I mean, I will share all the knowledge I have to anybody who asks.
Damn. Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really good.
It's a really healthy attitude.
It's a good outlook on it,
Yeah. Do you have any follow-up? We're over an hour now, but I know, Nick,
I talk a lot.
You had like a bunch of questions. No, you're good. You're good.
No, I definitely did, but it was he ended up like Nathan. You just ended up like answering all of them, and I was like, that's why I wasn't saying anything. I was like, this is great stuff, you guys. Yeah, keep it coming, keep it coming. I was like, oh man, immaculate.
I was really stressed out over this. I didn't know it was going to get asked. And I was like, I hope I can answer their questions. So that's good.
I was stressed out. I was like, we've never done a collaboration like this.
This is the first, hopefully of many. And once your feature next year comes out, it'd be cool to have you back on and we can discuss that too.
Oh yeah,
that'd be really cool.
I'd love to. Yeah, and actually, of course, you guys are going to have to come to the party to watch. We will just live stream it. We will do a live premiere of so we'll have the party, but we'll do a live premiere so everybody can watch it at the same time from home.
So everyone can watch it.
Why not?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yes, indeed.
But I think with that, we can go ahead and wrap it up for today. So Nathen, I really want to thank you for being our first guest on this podcast. It was a really cool conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I had I didn't know I was the first guest until you guys said it earlier, and I was like, oh, I better step up my game for sure. So.
Yeah, no. New format we're trying out.
I had fun.
And I really like how this has gone.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. Yeah, this was I've never done this, so it's prepping me for my Jimmy Fallon interview in the next, and when I'm like, in
Oh
a
well,
couple
there you
years,
go.
couple years.
Couple
Oh yeah,
months, couple months.
6 months tops.
Tomorrow. Yeah,
I'll give
tomorrow.
you guys a shout out tonight. I'm actually
20
going on in a
minutes.
couple minutes.
He's actually right here with me.
Hey, you want to say
Jimmy, come
anything?
here.
He's like, hey guys, how's it going? Da, da, da.
Just starts laughing uncontrollably.
This is actually live streamed right now. Your podcast is already going.
The live audience has been quiet
Yeah,
this whole
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
They're bursting right now.
Actually, guys, I'm Jimmy Fallon. Yeah.
Yeah, not even it. I am Jimmy Fallon.
You've been pranked. Goodbye.
Nathan actually isn't real at all. It was somebody we made up completely.
This is what they call the long con. This is actually the Nathen Burch show.
Yeah, I run Saturday Night Live now all together. I run Tonight Show. It's all me.
Well, this has been great.
Yeah, Nathan, thank you so much for doing this, man. Like, we really, really appreciate
thanks,
it. For real.
Nick. Thanks, Jacob. Like, I'm glad I could be the first. Glad I could be somebody's first. No.
So yeah, that is the end of our first filmmaking guest on HeadCanon. Thank you everyone for watching. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. If you're on another podcast platform, go ahead and follow. We have new episodes often.
Yeah. New episodes on the way. Coming soon to a podcast station near you.
All right. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.